Hi, Carol. Carol Perez. It is nice to meet you. Now, let me introduce you, everyone, to the beautiful Carol Perez. She made this black man cry. Literally, we was in a group all together, and she actually helps people feel joy and feel things they haven't felt for a long time. And she actually made me feel something that was quite significant. But I'm not the star today. Carol is. So I'm going to let Carol introduce herself. Carol, please introduce yourself and just tell us what you do at this current
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here. So my name is Carol Perez. I'm originally from Mexico, hence the accent. I'm a coach, facilitator, speaker, and I like to call myself joy instigator. So even though I made you cry, it was all for a good reason. I'm here to
It
help
was.
busy, high achievers people to reconnect with joy. And also, before reconnecting with it, to redefining what joy means to them. And I do that through online events and in-person events. So yeah, hi.
Wow. Well, it seems like you've got a lot on your plate. Obviously, you've gained a lot of skills going through your career. But before you got to the stage of joy, something must have turned you to the stage, look,
Mm.
something's not right in my life. Something's got to change. What am I going to do about it? So take yourself way back where that pain point was before you got to the stage and before you made that decision, something's got to change. Can you
Yes.
remember a time? Can you take us back to that?
Yeah, I can. It's actually very interesting because I don't think there is one specific thing that um, helped me decide, oh, I want to work with joy. I hope that it will be that easy. But actually, I think everything that led me to this point, it probably started in Mexico. So I was working in consultancy. My background is IT. I was working with Accenture, like these huge companies. Then I got married, and we were like, we cannot, dedicate our life to consultancy, because if you work in consultancy, you dedicate everything to
Of
your job.
course.
So we moved jobs. We were very romantic, so we moved to the same place. We were working at Walmart headquarters in Mexico, and it
Uh,
was a really good life. In the sense of, we made like our journey to the work. It was like 5 minute driving. Like in Mexico City, that's crazy. It's like 5 minutes. How come? Anyway, at some point, I need to be honest, I felt like I was really bored of my life, because I was like, it's 5:30, I'm at home, everything is so good, I need something else. So we decided to move to the UK. We moved to
uh-huh.
the UK. I started working again in consultancy, because that was my background. And I made a very good career here in the UK, even, with people making fun of my accent, being hired as the underdog, all of that. I managed to become the director of operations for EMEA, which was huge. I mean, the money was amazing. Like my life was really good, living in Notting Hill, like really, really good. But I was like, there's something that is missing. There's a purpose here that I don't feel with my job. If I die tomorrow, maybe 20 people are going to cry, and I don't want that. And I probably, especially because I'm child free by choice, so I don't even have like a kid to say, this is my legacy. I don't even
Okay.
have kids to say that. So I trained as a life coach. I got my certification. I absolutely loved it. And I was doing that as a side business, which actually it was a very expensive hobby now that I think about it.
Okay.
And then my husband and I decided to launch a travel company, because we want to do something different. So we wanted to bring people from the UK to Mexico to experience
Okay.
it different, to change, the image of Mexico that many people have. So we did that at the end of 2019, which was probably not the best moment to launch a travel company, because then in February, we were actually in Mexico when everything closed down.
Yeah.
And then there again, it was like, oh my God, what is that I'm going to do with my life? And for many amazing and magical reasons, I started working as a community consultant. I
Okay.
realized that I could put all the skills from consultancy, because I'm a very structured person, like all of these strategic thinking,
Hmm.
combining it with the life coaching skills that they are very human. Um, it was an amazing combination to work with online business owners who wanted to create communities. And I work with, huge people on the online industry. And I really enjoyed it until last year. It was the third year of my business. Everything was started to go like, really good. I was getting like clients and things started to evolve in a good way. And suddenly I realized I don't want to do this anymore. And I really I really stop and think, okay, what's wrong with me? Like every time that I do something different, then I stop myself. Is this because, there is insecurity? If there is like a lack of confidence, what's going on? And I mean, certainly there are, things about lack of confidence that I'm still
So,
working with.
could I just
Yeah,
say quickly, was it a situation that every time you got to just an end goal,
yeah,
it never felt quite right?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I was like living in London, living in Notting Hill, then I
Yeah.
moved to Camden Town and I really loved it. But there was always something missing.
Mm,
And
mm.
last year it was like, I think I spent like 3 months really like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what's going on. But I realized that I created a business that even though I enjoyed it, um, I realized I defined something that it felt like a cage in the sense of this is still very square. It's all about strategy. It's all about, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to have fun.
So you felt like everything was quite rigid and not, your life
Absolutely.
wasn't flowing because you're the kind of person, you have a personality where like you like things to flow, right? Would that be
Yeah.
right to say?
Yeah.
And so that rigidity is what
Mhm.
you wanted to remove from your life, and that
Yes.
happened well really recently last year.
Like really recently. I mean, it was until December that I decided the name of the business. And I mean, I started doing things since October last year.
Uh-huh.
But it's quite early. And I always say that this is probably the most difficult thing or business that I've launched because it really kind of goes against everything that I've built in the sense of consultancy. It was always like this very flashy job, and everything was very structured and you had like a career path very defined and everything was very defined in my life, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh. It
Um,
does.
but with the fun stuff, it's like, do you want to do like a business that is all about joy? Like
Yeah.
what is that? So it still feels sometimes quite intimidating in the sense of, is this really like a good idea? But I feel it. I know it is. Like people need to reconnect with joy, understand what that means to them. um yeah, so I think that's all like the kind of things that led me to this moment to say, I'm going to embody that, little child that was very playful, that was loud, that in some moment decided to shut everything to
Hmm.
bring that happiness and that joy to the world. So I can help other people to really tap into that
Okay.
in every single day.
And would you say not only have you described exactly the kind of changes that brought you to this point, but was there a specific person or situation that gave you that extra, push to make that change? Was there something within your life that's third party that made you make that change?
Mm. Yes, I think there were actually two people. And this is just so interesting because at the beginning of last year, I was like, okay, I really want to make this a very successful year.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
hired a coach and I was like, it was a very, how can I say this? Like thought decision. Like it wasn't
Uh-huh.
like an impulse. It was, look, Carol, you could go with a low path or go with a fast one. And I
Hmm.
was like, I'm going with the fast one. I want to work with this woman. And we worked together and everything
Wow.
started to speed up with the business, which was a blessing in this. It was a blessing because I was like, oh, this is amazing. But also, I think it made it harder when I
Okay.
decided that this is not what I want to do. And the second thing that happened, I had a meeting with a coach as well. That she was, I think was, it's not is I don't know, my friend, and she's huge in the industry. And I met her. We had like it was like a casual meeting. It wasn't like a coaching meeting. And that day, I realized something huge that really it was like an earthquake to my world,
Mm-hmm.
because with that meeting, I realized how much I I was following someone else's advice.
Okay.
I realized that, moving to the UK, all of those were crazy things that my parents were like, what are you guys doing? Like, you have everything in Mexico. And then for them saying like, oh, but now you are a director of operations. That's amazing. So when I was doing that, I think I was still living in the narrative of creating the life that my parents wanted, if that makes sense. And then when I launched a business, I kind of did like I changed my parents for the online gurus. Like I was trying to fulfill the dream of the guru.
I see. I see. So what we're talking about now, where we've got to is that you've actually found out exactly where this stems from, you not be happy and putting things in blocks through your life. And obviously going back to your parents' goals, you've taken that on, and that's what happened during the course of your life.
Yes. And when you ask like what happened that really made you like or kind of pushed you to make this change, is
Yeah.
that it took me probably 4 weeks after that conversation to realize, oh my God, I'm still creating my life thinking about other people's views or opinions about
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And it felt like, there's something that's why it never feels like it's aligned. Because
Yeah.
even if it's a life coaching business, even if it's a community consultancy business, it's still something that I've been doing for someone else,
Yes.
not myself.
Yeah, I totally get you. So knowing that, now you got to that stage, it was about fulfilling other people, be that your parents or whoever else, the perception of other people. How did you now sit down with yourself and thinking, I've got to change this? And
Mhm.
what transformation did you make from that point of view so you weren't stuck in the box, so to speak, with other people's
Mhm.
perception? What happened?
Mhm. I think if I'm really honest, I think I'm still navigating that change, because I mean, I'm not super young, despite what people might think.
I don't believe that, Carol.
So it's really breaking patterns that
Yeah.
they've been there for years. So I went back to therapy. I've been working with self-worthy coaches. Like
Mhm,
I've been doing a lot of inner work to start
mhm,
learning how to be in alignment with myself,
mhm.
and rediscovering what myself means. Like what is that I
Mhm.
really,
I get
really
that.
want? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. It takes time. I mean, because as we get older, we do solidify with our past. We do gain baggage. So it takes time to decipher and pull that all apart. So this is why it's interesting speaking to you, because we all are in that situation, right?
Yeah.
You're not the only one. So it is a work in process. Now, did you have any particular faith? Do you have any faith that actually um, allows you to root deep down to help you be consistent in some way? So that could be faith being religion or anything to do with faith of another spiritual way, or uh, do you use anything like that to help you just gain some kind of consistency every single day to just root through and just get through all your how can I say, aches and pains within life? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting, and I'm laughing because I always say that I came out of my spiritual closet in 2019.
Okay.
Um, I used to be like, oh no, I don't do any of that. And then when I actually started to embrace it, it was actually it kind of felt like a joke that I was trying to say that I wasn't spiritual, because
Okay.
when it was very obvious from the things that I did, the ways. I mean, I'm from Mexico, and we have a lot of these things in our everyday life that even people who say that, oh, I'm not superstitious, but I'm not going to give you the salt. We just leave the salt in the table so you can take it. So many things I was doing that I didn't realize, if that makes sense. So in 2019, like little by little, I started to kind of open up my belief, or I allow myself to be surprised by the magic that lives in our universe. And I don't know if this happens when every time that you allow yourself to something, it's like
Hmm.
people that start like, realizing that, oh, so you also believe in, angels or ascended masters or
Hmm.
the universe. And it was just like a moment where even my sister is a shaman now, and realizing that, oh my God, my mom was always teaching me this, and it's so aligned with believing in angels, believing in ascended masters. So I started to really embody that a little bit more. And I think what is very fascinating of this trust, of this faith, is that instead of I was raised as a Catholic, but we weren't really super Catholic, if that makes sense. I mean,
I
still
understand.
we were
Yeah.
going to church like probably once a year. Um, but in that religion, it's very much a very passive, role, if that makes sense. At least that's how I understood it.
Hmm.
Um, and with me, like really believing more in my spirituality, believing more in the magic of the universe, really the universe supports me and all of that, it kind of pushed me even more to believe in myself,
Great.
because I realized, oh my God, I'm creating this reality. They are helping me to get into the lessons of the life. So if I want to up level my game, if I really want to have an upgrade in my life, the magic is there for me. But if I'm not in a good state, then I won't be able to match that energy, to match that magic. So
Totally.
it kind of gave me like this beautiful, I wouldn't say responsibility, but this beautiful sense of, I better improve myself, because this is a co-creation. My life, my existence here is a co-creation. And if I'm not in a good shape, even the most powerful angel won't be able to give me or to help me create the vision that I have. So it's been really beautiful, because it's been a very empowering um, journey for me. And the more I open up myself to this magic, the more, beautiful things and unexpected things happen.
Mm. It sounds absolutely stunning and wonderful that the path you've taken with that realization. Um, and taking that into account, you're obviously a very successful business person in one form or another through the whole of your life. You're very focused. Um, Obviously, this has had something to do with it. So, where did this faith start from your journey? And was it a situation which helped you to be successful from one business to another?
Mm.
Or did this come partway through your journey of being successful as a businesswoman?
Um, I think it's really a combination of, my personality, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when I say my personality, I quite like to think of myself that I have a mind of a child, in the sense of I'm always very curious. I'm always very open-minded. I'm never like, oh no, I'm not going to try that. No, I'm like, okay, let me try, and then I'm going to decide if I like this or not. So
Hmm.
anytime if like someone will share something with me about, the spiritual world, about, I remember the first friend that to me was like, oh my God, she's so super woo-woo. But she was like, I want to invite you to one of my ceremonies. And I'm like, oh yeah, I will try it, because of
Hmm.
this. I'm not close to my true. It's like, you know, I want to learn from everyone. Um, and with that person that she's now we are like huge friends. She's amazing. She invited me to one of her cacao ceremonies. And to
Okay.
me, it was like I mean, and she was like, "You don't know about cacao? Like, I mean, you're from Mexico. What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "Well, sorry, but I
I get
was very squared when I was living in Mexico." And I attended that event, and oh my God, it was pure magic. It was beautiful. I had like this amazing vision. Um, it was huge. So I think it's been a combination of um, me being always very determined,
Okay.
me every time that I have a vision, um, really doing something to get there. Even when I was still in Mexico, and my husband and I were like, let's move to London, because for a Mexican it's not that easy to move to
Mm-hmm.
London.
Mm-hmm.
I had this vision, and because I had it and I believed in that I really wanted it, that I could see myself in Covent Garden. So every single day I was connecting with that. And I didn't know that I was doing, visualization or any like anything like that. I just knew that when something feels very aligned,
Right.
I can get it.
Wow. So you're a great believer, not only for vision, but what you say is power at the same time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is great. So, because I'm always interested in the psyche and the mind and the spirit and etc. All these things come together because business can be quite challenging, right?
Yeah.
Movement, especially when you're moving from one area to another, let alone from one country to another, is really difficult, right?
Mhm.
So this is why it's interesting to talk about what keeps you constantly moving forward. In your form, vision is very powerful to you, and that's very empowering. And the things that you say is very empowering. And also, you're quite a spiritual person at the same time. And hence why I've heard you talk about how things have been difficult in certain parts of your life, but regardless, you get on and you move forward.
Mhm.
And it's those things that are accumulated together that keep you striving forward. And I find that we've all got to have something internally that gives us the passion of the how, the why, and so on. And I do also believe about faith. And when I speak to people that are very successful, they always have this kind of faith thing going on, be it spiritual or whatever. And I can see that in you massively. So it's just a situation. Joy. Let's go back to joy, because we've gone
Mhm.
through your pain and the consistency what you do in your life to make sure you're successful. But let's go back to the joy. So we've come through all of that timeline. Now, how do you apply the joy in other people's lives? What have you done to integrate that within their lives?
Yes. Yeah. So first of all, I think the first thing that I want to see in people is that they take their joy seriously. Because I know how difficult it is to be intentional about it, to even open the calendar and say, once a week I'm going to take 20 minutes to dance, just because I love dancing. And maybe they don't have the time now to go, or the energy or whatever, to go dancing every single Friday like they used to. And the way I'm doing this is I deliver workshops, I deliver talks to people. I'm going to start delivering in-person events as well. Um, and most of my talks, they've been for free, because I really want to get to anybody that is open to
Hmm.
learn this. I've been working with an amazing project that is called the Send Project. It's like an American school bus, and they
Okay.
go to different places, and the school bus is converted, and they have like sound baths and different things. I've been delivering talks with them as well. And to me, every time that I'm in front of people, what I really want them to realize is that it's okay not to know how to tap into that joy, because
Okay.
we live in a society that teaches that when we grow up we need to be serious, that adults who are playful just because they want to be playful and they are not kids around, they
Uh-huh.
are a little bit weird, right? So
Uh-huh.
it's kind of the system, if that makes sense, that
Yeah, totally.
we don't know how to have fun,
Hmm.
unless it's a holiday, unless it's a party, unless there is alcohol, unless I'm going to meet my friends, unless I'm playing with my kids. We don't know how to do this because that's part of the deal. You're an adult, you shouldn't play, you should
Yeah.
just be, in these tiny boxes doing what you need to do,
And
providing.
you and also you should not cry.
You
All
should
those
not
things.
cry. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
so the way I'm doing this is through, like talks. I really want to start working with tech companies. I actually, the next 2 weeks, I have calls with different people who are in the consultancy or technology business,
Uh-huh.
because maybe this is because, my background is on IT and consultancy, but I,
Uh-huh.
like, at the very beginning of my career, I was a developer. And I know that even when you leave the office, you never leave the office. If there's something that you cannot solve, you
Yeah.
go to sleep with that problem, and you might wake up with the answer. And the
Yeah.
first thing that you want to do is just run to the office and try that. And now you don't even run to the office, you just run to your living room
Yeah,
to
it's true.
finish that. So it's
Mm.
very difficult to, draw a line of, here's where my works end,
Yeah.
where can I switch off and being playful and have fun. So I would like to get more into those industries, if that makes sense, like
Yes, it does.
technology or procurement. Like there are industries that the stress are it's very high. So I
Yeah.
really want people to understand that they can tap into joy every single day, even if it's 2 minutes, and that
Mhm.
it's going to make a huge difference in their lives.
No, I totally relate to that because I'm in the technology side of things, and the same thing happens to me. I'm just thinking of, sorting out statistics and stats and blah, 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 automations and whatever, and an aha moment first thing in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I totally relate to that in a big way. So just give us the process. Like if you was to work with me, just very basically, how you could help someone just to alleviate or start the process of alleviating that stress.
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, I always start by asking, uh, do you really want to have more joy?
Okay.
Because if we don't realize, then we are not going to be able to make an effort. Because as everything in life, it's going to require an effort, even if an effort is just at the beginning, once a week. So if someone is really okay, I really want to do this, then the
Hmm.
second thing is all about rediscovering and redefining what joy means to that person, because it's not only the layer of being an introvert or an extrovert. There are other layers of how people really connect with joy.
Ah,
um,
hold on. Let me stop you there. Now that's interesting because usually there's black and white. So you're saying there isn't black and white. So let's break that down briefly. What
yeah,
does that mean? Usually there is a higher and a lower, but what's in between?
so it's, we have these huge groups, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But
Uh,
let's talk about, for example, the introverts.
yeah. Okay.
The way one introvert will have fun, joy, or connect with fun. I'm an introvert, as well. It's going to be probably very different as the way I connect with joy,
Okay.
because we have also people that are very intellectual, and
Hmm.
they get a lot of, joy by probably analyzing a movie with their friends, or just writing a blog about a movie that they watch, and they thought that this is very interesting, people need to see this. But there is
Okay.
probably, an introvert that they are super happy by working with, I don't know, creating miniature models of houses. And so it's very different the way we express ourselves and we connect with that.
Okay.
So it's very individual in the sense of, how is that you connect with that and what brings you joy. Because, for example, someone might discover, that they like to be very playful, very, let's say, childish, right? I don't like the word childish, but let's say childish.
Hey,
They
yeah.
are very playful. Great. So that's the vibe, let's say, that they want to bring more into their life, like this playfulness.
Mhm.
But what does that mean? If it's 8 p.m. in the night and you want to be playful, does that mean that you are going to, I don't know, watch cartoons? Does that mean that you are going to play with some Play-Doh? Does that mean that you are going to draw a little bit? Does that mean, like, what is playful for you? Because, I mean, playful could mean anything to you, to me. For me, it's probably
Mm.
playful, I don't know, dancing reggaeton. I mean, it's not, but or for you, playful could be, I don't know, I want to create a castle, or it's
Yeah,
Lego, or it's like, it's
that's me.
very different. So
Yeah,
my role, I see it more of a guidance of, you go inwards. I don't want you to do what I'm telling you to do, if that makes sense. I
it
want
does.
you to discover what fun and playfulness and joy means to you.
Mm.
And then from there is, okay, now that you have a sense, how could you connect with this every day? And let's start with a week. I always say, like, let's start with every single week, because it's
Okay.
going to, we need to build up that muscle. So it becomes very easy with, like, over time, to tap into that. And then at some point you're just doing it without, realizing it.
Of
But you
course.
just feel a different sense of what it means to be alive. Um, and I think we talked about this when we met,
Yeah.
that um, we are, as adults, we are constantly thinking about the next thing that is going to bring us happiness, the
Yeah.
next goal that we want to accomplish, the next thing that is going to bring that joy. But when you are living and connecting in this sense of, I have everything that I want. I mean, if I could have more money, I would be good. But today, right now, at this very moment, I feel great. That sense of, I have arrived. Like, I'm here. I don't need to wait for that contract to be signed, or I don't need to. No, right here today, sitting down, um, recording this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Like, if, like, God forbid, but something happens right now, I will die in peace.
Yeah.
Because I'm here and my life is amazing, and we don't need to wait for the next big thing. That's kind of the message that I really want to put out there. Like, let's
Okay.
have a
So,
beautiful life every
so
single day.
so your focus is, I mean, I'm really liking this because it's a situation that, yes, we can feel joy, but you're not waiting for certain waypoints within our life to feel joy. We can feel joy on a weekly, daily, hourly, minute basis. And that's what you're trying to get down to. Instead of waiting for that waypoint within our life, such as holiday, right? Etc.
Mhm.
Etc. You're talking about being able to tap in on a daily basis, or whenever an issue may arise within your life that's a bit of a downer, but still somehow tapping into that joy to keep you up. Is that correct?
I think, yes, in the sense of, joy is a state. It's a
Okay.
state of mind.
Hmm.
And the way we're seeing joy, or yeah, the way we're seeing joy currently, is that we see it more as happiness, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Happiness comes from external things.
Hmm.
It comes from those holidays. It comes from that birthday party that I went to. Like, it give us, like, those, like, peaks of happiness, of
Yeah,
excitement, which is,
definitely.
euphoric, and it's fine. It's great to have those peaks in our life.
Hmm.
But what I'm aiming is to create this state of joy where
Mm.
you just wake up and you are there.
Aha, I see.
It's like, it's a constant. It's like, I'm having a good life.
Wow, that's
Yes.
beautiful. That is
It's
beautiful.
yes. So it's, and obviously it doesn't happen immediately.
Mm.
But the more we start, like, tapping into it, understanding what is for us, um, like, I really like to be very playful, and I'm
Mm.
doing, like, goofy stuff all
Mm.
day. But
Mm.
ask me, probably 8 months ago, I wouldn't allow myself to be that playful all the
Mm.
time, every single
Mm.
time. Not every single time, because, we also need to work with other adults that would say, like, what's
Totally.
going wrong with her? But it's really understanding, it's okay to be me. It's okay to enjoy my life. It's
Mm.
okay to live a good life.
Yeah.
whatever that means to each of us. But it's
Yeah.
it's really reaching a state rather than just an emotion of I'm really happy, this is great, which, don't get me wrong, we love that, and that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what happens in between this holiday and the next birthday party? I want you to be in this state of joy.
Exactly. And this is, and if I roll back to obviously when we were in the group and you was within the group and I was quite tearful, and I realized this state of joy I was already in because I realized some weeks ago that I was so happy. So even though A, B, and C may happen during the week, which wasn't fantastic, I was still full of joy because I had great gratitude for my friends that were in my life and my family and my children. And from that point of view, I thought I've got an amazing life
Mhm.
because no matter what, wherever I look to the left or to the right, I'm always smiling because I look at my child and it's amazing. I look at my partner and it's amazing. I look at my so no matter what, and usually the family, the friends, that type of thing is quite hard to get right in your life. You know,
Mhm.
because they say you can't choose your family and sometimes your friends and etc. And so hence this is why I'm talking about when you made me careful and and I realized I'm there. I'm full of joy.
Mhm.
I'm happy with my Buddhism. I'm happy with my family. I'm happy with my friends, and I'm always smiling. So you're totally right. So when you say the state of joy, I totally understand you. There's a difference between the peaks
Mhm.
and the state.
Yeah.
Um, and what you did within the group was amazing. So I totally get you. Um, and how you drill down to the individual basis, as you described, is amazing to give out joy like that. And Carol, that is absolutely stunning. Just to hear your journey, how you really really get deep, how to keep yourself happy, where you've come from spiritually, and how you're trying to transform other people's lives at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your plan for the future. So you're talking about corporate. Are you also talking about individuals beyond the corporate?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm in the making of it's a card deck. Card deck. I always get that wrong. Like, is this a deck card or card deck? A card deck that so people can do this by themselves.
Okay.
So people can really tap into this and discover this by themselves.
Wow.
Um, but also definitely I want to get into corporate to really land on the ears of people who don't take the time to,
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
go inside and realize, okay, where am I standing?
Mm-hmm.
What is that I'm doing? And yeah, so that's what I'm doing, and I'm also having my first in-person event in April. So I'm going to this is going to be for women only, uh,
Okay.
and it's
Why
going to be
are us men not good enough? Is that what you're saying?
no, don't worry. I have other plans for it's I've delivered workshops with only men, and it's been also amazing.
Uh-huh.
But this particular event is going to be only for women who are looking really for connection, like probably women that are like me, if that makes sense, that we are so into going that we don't really stop to make
Yeah.
more friends.
Constant.
But we want that connection. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm doing that. And yes, but something, I wanted to stop you when you were sharing what you were sharing, and I didn't do it, but I don't want to live without telling you this.
Oh, speak to me.
That I really want you, or maybe you already know this, but to stop and realize that um, you smile and you love life and you really are, let's say, conscious of the things that surround you,
Yeah.
but you are creating that. You are
Yeah.
allowing yourself to feel that.
Totally.
And
Totally.
sometimes we don't give us that praise of I'm doing this. It's not that things happen by accident. I'm pretty sure that you've been through a long journey where you have
Yeah.
actually allowed yourself to stay
Hmm.
open for the good things.
Yes, you're totally right. I mean, that's exactly what happened. I had to look at my life in more ways than one because I went through some pain points within my life. And then I had to look at my life, and being a Buddhist, um, um, you look inwards. It's all about your environment reflects you. All right. And so I had to look at myself and make those changes. And I had to accept to make those changes. And I had to try to make those changes with other people. So I may apologize, for instance, of things that I've done, because I'm still learning, I'm still growing as a person. But at the same time, I had to give gratitude, and my journey is every morning I give gratitude to the people that are within my life. And because I do that, I'm realistic to what's really around me. I'm open to what's really around me. Otherwise, what happens is that you look at the negativity in your life too much, and the negativity can take over and just literally bring you down. And I thought to myself, I've got so much going on within my life. Um, I'm not perfect. I'm still growing, but let's admit to what's really in your life. And yeah, you're totally right. I give myself kudos because I'm very particular who comes in and who comes out of my life, because I'm a very giving person. All right. I'm a very loving person. I'm always there to help people without, thinking about it. So I've got to be very careful who allow around me for me to be in that
Yeah.
situation. And you're totally right. Your method of working with people, and they've got to be in the right state of mind to actually be able to move forward, to want to feel joy and to do those certain things is imperative before just like anything, there's a process, right? I've got to go through that process.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about your process, it really resonated with me, because that's the process I took when I was working with myself. And that's why I resonated with you when we was in that group. And I thought, yeah, I totally understand this. And this woman's got me crying, blah, blah, blah. So I knew how genuine you were. I knew how genuine you were wanting to help people, because that came across straight away. And I really thank you for it. And thank you. I have to give myself kudos for that. Yeah, totally. And Carol, you're amazing.
Thank
Is
you.
there anything else you want to sum up? Anything you want to bring to the table? Anything I've missed out that you want to say?
No, I think probably the only thing that I would like to say is that really starting, like little by little with having a life full of joy, it's not as difficult as we think. So if we could just start thinking, what brings me joy? How can I bring more joy today? Probably just playing a song that you really love. Like whoever is listening, go and do it. Like, and if you don't feel confident to take space even in your house, because that could happen, go to the toilet, but
Yeah,
give yourself those 2 minutes of freedom, as I call, like freedom of joy, of doing
yeah.
something that really makes you feel a little bit more elevated, and it brings your energy really, really high.
Totally. And saying that, I mean, it's on paper it's not difficult to do that, but sometimes you need someone to help you believe that you can be done, and that's why someone like you comes into play. If you do have a block, and this is for everybody that's listening to this podcast right now, sometimes it is on paper very easy, but if you do have a block, this is where Carol comes into effect and can help with unblocking those situations so you can take things further and go through a process. And Carol is very good, let me tell you something, without a doubt. So with that said, I think we're going to come to a head with that, because you've given so much value, huge amount of value. And Carol, thank you for coming on the podcast, and we really appreciate you. So where do we actually connect with you? How can we find you if we need help from you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, you can find me as at freedom.of.joy. On Facebook, I'm as Carol Perez. I think you're going to share the
I
link.
will
I
do.
don't think there are like many here. I mean, if it was Mexico, there are many Carol Perez.
Ah.
And on LinkedIn as well, you can find me there. Connect, please. feel free to send me a message. I love to have conversations in my DMs. And yeah, and maybe if you feel like, just send me an email at carol@freedomofjoy.com. Yeah.
Carol, thank you. You've been
Thank you so
wonderful.
much.
Hopefully, I'll have you on there again just to check out your journey, because you're going to be doing some wonderful things. Well, you already are, but we're going to be curious how things go along, and I really appreciate your time. In the
Thank you for
meantime, have
inviting me.
a wonderful day.
You too.
All right, sayonara.
Bye.